Traveling through time with 100 historical movies. Part 2, 1800 to 2000. Until a time machine is invented, the cinema is our most immersive way of visiting the past. It delivers the sights and sounds, though thankfully not the smells, of the Roman Colosseum, the medieval battlefield, the court of Versailles, and the celebrations of VE Day, love of history, though it should not be taken as a history lesson, because it's always entertainment first, accuracy second, if at all. In this two-part series, we'll take a walk through time via 100 films, as suggested by you, the History Tea Timers, and hand-selected by yours truly, to cover a wide variety of eras and perspectives. But rather than rank them worst to best, a daunting task to say the least, I've laid them out on a timeline, based on when they are set. This way, we can examine how these familiar films relate to each other and fit into the wider mosaic of history. We've got everything from massive blockbusters to obscure deep dives into forgotten events, biopics that humanize real historic figures, and fictional romances, comedies, and horrors set in real chapters of history. So without further ado, pop some popcorn, dim the lights, and let's travel through time at the movies. We jump back into our timeline at the dawn of the 19th century. Napoleon dramatizes the rise and fall of the brilliant general and politician who crowned himself Emperor of France in 1804, and his volatile relationship with Josephine. The Mammoth Project features some of the most incredible practical battle sequences ever filmed, but it fell flat with critics and audiences. Director Ridley Scott put drama first and told historians who brought up the film's many inaccuracies to get a life. Napoleon is enjoyable enough, but it doesn't measure up to the greatness of its subject. Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, tells the tale of a fictional British frigate, the HMS Surprise, caught in a cat-and-mouse game with a French privateer vessel off the coast of South America in 1805. The film pays meticulous detail to maritime history and life aboard ship during the Napoleonic Wars. Captivating performances in between riveting naval battles make this a classic. Pride and Prejudice is the ultimate Regency romance. Before there was Bridgerton, there was Jane Austen. Her most popular novel follows Elizabeth Bennet, a quick-witted but poor gentleman's daughter, under pressure to marry up. When she meets handsome, rich Mr. Darcy, sparks fly in the original enemies to lovers trope. With brilliant performances and modern sensibility, this adaptation is widely considered the best on film, though many prefer the 1995 miniseries, which will undoubtedly appear in a future episode on Great Historical TV. Jane Eyre. Though technically a Regency romance, don't expect a light, frothy affair. Charlotte Bronte's classic novel is full of darkness and grit. Orphan Jane is cruelly abused by her aunt, then sent to an abysmal charity school. She takes a job as a governess and forms a bond with her employer, who holds a dark secret. Mia Wasikowska delivers arguably the best portrayal of the character in this 2011 adaptation. The Woman King tells the remarkable story of the Agoji, an all-female unit of warriors from the West African kingdom of Dahomey in modern-day Benin, set in 1823 when Portuguese slave traders terrorized the area. The film follows the epic emotional journey of General Nanisca, Oscar winner Viola Davis, as she trains recruits for battle. King Jiso was real, but the other characters are fictitious. The film was criticized and even boycotted for whitewashing the Dahomey's role in selling other Africans into slavery. The young Victoria takes a compelling look at the famous queen in her optimistic youth, her family dramas, struggle to claim authority, and love story with Prince Albert. The film sticks pretty close to the facts, with a few dramatizations. Though there were 8 assassination attempts on the Queen, Albert was never harmed. With decadent costumes, sumptuous sets, and strong performances, it's a favorite for royal history lovers. Sissy. This trilogy of 1950s films, following the life of Empress Elizabeth, are played in Austria every Christmas. They have propelled Sissy to fame as a romantic national hero. The trilogy loosely follows history, though they throw away accuracy in favor of heartwarming stories and a more favorable portrayal of the imperial family. A 4th film was planned to include Sissy's shocking assassination, but Romy Schneider declined to reprise her role. Amistad recounts in harrowing detail the true story of a slave ship, La Amistad. While sailing from Cuba to America, Joseph Cinque led other Mindy people to rise up against their captors. They left 2 navigators alive on the condition that they sail the ship back to Africa. But the Spaniards secretly sailed into U.S. waters, where the ship was captured, triggering a legal battle over who owned the people aboard. The case went to the Supreme Court, which ruled in favor of the Mindy, who were restored to freedom. The film takes dramatic liberties, but is a powerful watch. 12 Years a Slave is closely based on the memoir of Solomon Northup, a free black man from New York, who was beaten, kidnapped, and sold into slavery in Louisiana. He was in bondage for 12 years before he was able to get information to his family, who secured his release. The film is an unflinching look at the brutality of slavery in antebellum America, and the Best Picture winner for 2013. Meek's Cutoff travels along the Oregon Trail in 1845, loosely based on an agonizing true story. 6 pioneers follow their guide on a shortcut through the desert. Lost and running low on food and water, they struggle to survive. The film effectively captures the harsh realities of the trail, but leaves the end of the story ambiguous. In reality, Meeks led a wagon train of 1,000 people through the dangerous cutoff. They did reach safety, but at least 25 died of thirst, starvation, or exhaustion along the way, becoming a cautionary tale for other pioneers. The Piano takes us to New Zealand in 1850. A mute Scottish woman, her daughter, and her piano are dumped on a beach by the ship's crew. She was sold into a marriage with a settler, but soon becomes intrigued with his Maori-friendly acquaintance. This original fictional work aimed for authenticity in depicting colonial and Maori life. Holly Hunter and Anna Paquin both won Oscars for their performances. Glory, set during the U.S. Civil War, follows the 1st All-Black Regiment, the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry. The film was based on real history, though only Colonel Shaw was an actual person. Many aspects were changed for dramatic effect. For instance, most of the soldiers had not escaped slavery, but were free men from the North. Unlike other Civil War classics, including the 1939 version of Gone with the Wind, Glory has aged well. It is still praised for its realistic and honest portrayal of the era, with powerful performances, including an Oscar-winning turn by Denzel Washington. It is considered one of the best films set during the U.S. Civil War. Little Women. This 2019 film is the 7th movie adaptation of Louisa May Alcott's beloved 1868 novel. It chronicles the lives and loves of the March sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, in Massachusetts in the 1860s. While the Civil War rages far away, the siblings write, study art, and navigate love. Aside from the Ugg boots, this is one of the highest rated versions. Gangs of New York tells the fictional story of an Irish immigrant out for revenge amidst the backdrop of the Five Points neighborhood of Manhattan in the 1860s. Martin Scorsese garnered praise for accurately recreating this grimy slice of New York history, including the many gangs that fought over the area, tensions between immigrant groups, and riots against Civil War conscription. Dances with Wolves follows a Civil War soldier who is attracted to the life of the Lakota on the frontier of South Dakota. He chose to live with them and was given the name Dances with Wolves. Though the characters are fictional, there were many white people who chose to join Native groups, and others, like Stands with a Fist, who were abducted or adopted. This film was released in 1990, when America was beginning to reevaluate the classic Western narrative of white heroes and Indian savages. It paints a more nuanced portrait of American history. The King and I is a 1956 adaptation of the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, based on the memoirs of Anna Leon Owens. She was a widowed Welsh mother who traveled to Siam to be governess to the wives and children of King Mongkut. While the people are real, and this is one of only a handful of Hollywood films which touches on Asian history, the events are romanticized through a Western lens. And in classic 1950s style, star Yul Brynner was in fact Russian, not Thai. Her Majesty Mrs. Brown. Across the pond we go to see what was up with dear old Queen Victoria in the 1860s. After losing her beloved Albert to typhoid fever, the Queen fell into depression and neglected her royal duties. Judi Dench and Billy Connolly recreate the real relationship Victoria shared with Scottish servant John Brown. Whether or not they had a romance or were even secretly married, he did help her to recover from her grief and get back to reigning. Far from the Madding Crowd, another classic romance novel adaptation, this time moved forward into Victorian England. Headstrong Bathsheba has her choice of 3 suitors, a sheep farmer, a dashing soldier, and a prosperous older bachelor. The novel tackles class structure, gender roles, and the harsh realities of rural life in the mid-1800s. The Age of Innocence, based on Edith Wharton's novel, is set in the 1870s, during the Gilded Age, when post-war wealth drew millionaires to glamorous New York City. This time, Michelle Pfeiffer plays the older, wiser woman to Winona Ryder's ingenue, with Daniel Day-Lewis caught in the middle of this elegantly bustled love triangle. An American Tale is a family classic about the 19th century immigrant experience. In 1885, Feifel Mauskowitz and his family flee Russia after their home is destroyed by cats. A storm throws Feifel overboard, and he must make his way to Lady Liberty in a bottle and find his family in the vastness of New York City. This film celebrates the melting pot of America, and I defy you not to sing along to There Are No Cats in America, and the Streets Are Paved with Cheese. Colette, set in glamorous Belle Epoque Paris in the 1890s, tells the true story of a female novelist forced to ghostwrite for her husband. Through the drama of their relationship and numerous affairs, she develops her own personal and artistic independence. Moulin Rouge is a beloved Belle Epoque confection of stunning visuals and a mashup of modern pop and rock music, with a central love story between a poor poet and the brightest star of the Moulin Rouge. This classic chases the green fairy to a magical world in the past. Gandhi presents major events in the life of Mahatma Gandhi, including his years in South Africa and his campaign of nonviolent resistance, which moved India towards independence in 1947. The film sticks closely to real events, but condenses some timelines and narratives. The epic 1982 biopic won 8 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor for Ben Kingsley. We've arrived in the 20th century with There Will Be Blood. Stretching from 1898 to 1925, this epic tells the story of fictional Daniel Plainview, a hard-scrabble silver miner who makes a fortune in oil. But as the tycoon's fortune grows, he falls into moral bankruptcy. This examination of the corruption of Gilded Age robber barons won Daniel Day-Lewis the second of his record 3 Oscars for Best Actor. Howard's End tackles class tension in Edwardian England. Bourgeoisie sisters Helen and Margaret Schlegel get romantically entangled with members of the upper-class Wilcox family. Superb performances by an impressive cast and stunning visuals make this a pivotal British romance. Titanic is a breathtaking cinematic depiction of history's most famous shipwreck, with a sappy love story thrown in. Though Rose and Jack are fictional, and he totally could have fit on that door, many other elements and characters are based on real history. Meticulous detail was paid to the order of events of the disaster, though third-class passengers were not locked below decks. This smash hit won 11 Oscars and became a cultural moment in 1997. The Color Purple features another all-star cast in an epic film about poverty and abuse, coming of age and recovery. Based on the novel by Alice Walker, it recounts the life of Celie, a poor black girl born in rural Georgia in the early 1900s. The 2023 remake, based on the Broadway musical, is also incredible. Testament to Youth is based on the memoir of Vera Brittain, who served as a nurse in World War I, while her fiancé and brother fought for their lives in the trenches. After losing loved ones and treating wounded men on both sides of the conflict, she comes to realize the true carnage of war. All Quiet on the Western Front adapts the renowned 1929 novel. It follows a young German soldier from the initial euphoria of marching off to battle to brutal desperation and fear as he and his comrades fight for their lives. The gruesome, horrific battlefield scenes drive home the book and film's message: war is hell. Anastasia is by far the most loved by History Tea-Timers. This animated classic tells a fairy tale version of the story of Grand Duchess Anastasia Romanoff. In 1991, the remains of her parents and 3 sisters were discovered. However, Anastasia and her brother Alexei were missing. When this film was released in 1997, it propelled the mystery surrounding the youngest imperial daughter to legendary proportions. For decades, there had been rumors that she had escaped murder at the hands of the Bolsheviks in 1918, and several women claimed to be the long-lost Anastasia. Sadly, in 2007, Russian archaeologists discovered 2 more skeletons, which were identified as Anastasia and Alexei. Check out my video on the fate of the Romanovs. Dr. Zhivago is an epic romance set during World War I and the Russian Revolution. It was praised for accurately capturing the chaos, social upheaval, and personal suffering of the era, so much so that it was banned in the Soviet Union. Based on the novel by Boris Pasternak, this 1965 classic was nominated for 10 Oscars, is on multiple Best Film lists, and was the 9th highest-grossing movie of all time, adjusted for inflation. Killers of the Flower Moon confronts America's deeply troubled relationship with Native people, the land, and the oil beneath it. In Oklahoma, between 1918 and 1931, at least 60 members of the Osage Nation were brutally murdered for their mineral rights. Among them, the family of Molly Kyle. She is played by Lily Gladstone, who was nominated for an Oscar. Native American groups have largely embraced the film as authentically portraying their society at the time. Midnight in Paris is a comedy about an American man who dreams of a romantic past in Paris. While strolling at midnight, he is transformed back to the 1920s, where he meets Gertrude Stein, Hemingway, Dali, Picasso, Fitzgerald, and other luminaries, only to fall for a girl who wants to live in the 1890s Belle Époque. This film offers a unique examination of nostalgia that history lovers will surely look back on fondly. Bugsy Malone. This singular movie musical casts children as 1920s gangsters and showgirls. Based loosely on real-life prohibition criminals Al Capone and Bugs Moran, this family fun ride uses whipped cream instead of bullets. Thrilling performances by its young cast, a sweetly wacky script, and catchy tunes have made it an enduring comedy. Sinners. Set in 1932, sees twin brothers Smoke and Stack leave their life of crime in Chicago to open a juke joint in their Mississippi Delta hometown. But when vampires crash the party, things turn from history to horror. The incredible cinematic developments that duplicated Michael B. Jordan, strong historic metaphors, and mesmerizing scene melding black music from multiple eras make this film a masterpiece. Gosford Park. Before Julian Fellowes wrote Downton Abbey, there was Gosford Park, a group of pretentious aristocrats, played by a who's who of British actors, gather for a country house party in 1930s England. But when a murder occurs, every eccentric character is a suspect. It's upstairs downstairs meets Clue. The Remains of the Day. You're not having deja vu. It's another film starring Emma Thompson and Anthony Hopkins. This time, the dynamic duo plays a stiff upper lip butler and a housemaid. They serve an aristocratic British family in the 1930s who flirt with Nazism. While the characters are fictional, the film is a highly regarded look at early 20th century English society. Another one perfect for Downton fans. Now the Era, which, I believe, has more historical dramas than all the others put together. World War II. The King's Speech recounts royal drama between brothers, David, Prince of Wales, and Bertie, Duke of York. The heir was charismatic and popular, but selfish and unpleasant, while the spare was reserved, loved his wife and daughters, and suffered from social anxiety and a slight stammer, though the movie rather exaggerated it. The film focuses on Bertie's relationship with his speech therapist, Lionel Logue. 11 months after inheriting the throne, David, now Edward VIII, abdicated to be with his Nazi-loving mistress, Wallis, and dumped royal responsibility on Bertie, renamed George VI. The film won Oscars for Best Picture, Director, Screenplay, and Actor Colin Firth. The Sound of Music, one of the most successful and beloved films of all time, and the Best Picture winner for 1965. Based on Maria von Trapp's memoirs, this musical about an Austrian novice who leaves the convent to be governess to the 7 children of a naval captain. She and the captain fall in love just as he is under pressure to fight for the Nazis in World War II. The Von Trapps really did escape in 1938. But rather than hike across the mountains, they took a train to Italy. They later became a popular singing act in the United States. Schindler's List is a devastatingly powerful look at the horrors of the Holocaust, the mass dehumanization and extermination of a people, and individual humanity tenderly painted by a single small child in a red coat. This film tells the real story of factory owner Oskar Schindler, who, intending to turn a profit from the war, employed Jewish workers and ended up saving 1,100 people from the death camps. with incredible and disturbing performances and 11 Oscars, including Best Picture. Schindler's List is a difficult but important watch. The Imitation Game recounts the riveting real-life drama of Bletchley Park and the many geniuses they employed in the race to decrypt German war communications. The star in this development of early computing was Alan Turing, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. He and others ended the war early and saved countless lives. The film also covers the tragic aftermath of Turing taking his own life after he was prosecuted by the government for homosexuality. A Royal Night Out. On the 8th of May, 1945, victory in Europe was declared, and Allied nations burst into joy at the end of World War II. After their famous waves from the Buckingham Palace balcony, sisters Princess Elizabeth, 19, and Princess Margaret, 14, begged their royal parents' permission to go out incognito and enjoy the once-in-a-lifetime celebrations in London. This charming film takes a look at the young woman who would become the stalwart Queen Elizabeth II. She and Margaret really did enjoy a secret VE night out, though neither recounted the hijinks or secret romance intimated in the film. Brooklyn follows a fictional Irish immigrant in the 1950s. After building a new life for herself and falling in love, she is drawn back across the ocean to her hometown and must decide where to spend her future. In the 1950s, Ireland suffered its toughest economy since the famine, and 15% of the population did immigrate. Forrest Gump tells 30 years of American history ever made. Hidden Figures tells the oft-overlooked story of Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, so-called human computers. Their brilliance in mathematics and engineering helped NASA win the space race in the 1960s. Their achievements and the discrimination they faced are based closely on history, but Hollywood did condense timelines to make a more thrilling film. Selma. Though the Civil Rights Act of 1964 desegregated the South, discrimination was still rampant. Facing violent opposition, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights activists gathered in Selma, Alabama for 3 nonviolent marches to Montgomery in 1965. Their efforts culminated with President Lyndon Johnson signing the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Milk follows 8 years in the life of Harvey Milk, his rise as a community leader, the campaign that made him the first openly gay person elected to public office in California, and his shocking assassination in 1978. Sean Penn won an Oscar for his portrayal of this pivotal character in gay rights history. Pride tells the true story of London gays and lesbians who went to rural Wales in 1984 to support striking coal miners. The two groups fought against their common foes, Margaret Thatcher, the police, and the conservative press. A heartwarming story of unlikely friendships, Pride will make you want to parade through the streets. A musical version is in the works. Hotel Rwanda visits the Rwandan genocide of 1994, an overlooked bloody chapter in history. It tells the true story of Paul Rusesabagina, when Hutu military forces initiate a campaign of ethnic cleansing against the Tutsi minority. The hotel manager shelters and saves the lives of 1,500 Tutsi refugees. The Queen takes a look at a pivotal week in the recent history of the British monarchy, the aftermath of Princess Diana's death in 1997. While Queen Elizabeth viewed it as a private family matter, the public demanded that the palace respond to their outpouring of grief. Helen Mirren won an Oscar for the role and was even praised by the real Queen Elizabeth, who invited the actress to dine at Buckingham Palace. Did I forget your favorite historical movie? Which era of history do you think is overdue for some Hollywood love? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and check out my other history videos. You can also support my work, get early access to all my multi-part series, and other perks by becoming a channel member or joining my Patreon. Thank you for watching.